Hey, welcome back as we wrap up this little segment series that we're doing. This is episode 551, and today we're going to be talking about self-discipline and growth, the secret to long-term success. And by description, the definition between winners and quitters is discipline. In this episode, we break down the habits and routines that separate high achievers from everyone else. Learn how to stay focused, eliminate distraction, and push through adversity to reach your biggest goal. Listen, there's no secret when it comes to how to achieve what you want in life. You have to have goals. You have to know what you want. You have to pursue those goals, and you have to do it on a consistent and very regular basis. Where the problem is, we lack focus. And I'll share this with you. When it comes to focus, I ask you a question. Have you ever tried to pursue a goal, and as you're pursuing that goal, you get distracted by something? You end up going off in a different way. You lose interest in that goal. The reality check hits and it becomes a little too hard. Either you can't put the donut down, you forgot to put the money in the savings account, you decided to not make the phone call, you took time off when you shouldn't have, you didn't get up early, you went to bed too late, whatever it is, you can lose focus for a minute or two. But what ends up happening is you didn't do the next right thing, or when you did the wrong thing, you did another wrong thing, and now you're going down the failure cycle. You see, what I know, what's true for me is when I begin to fail, I've got that 15-minute window. And in those 15 minutes, I got 15 minutes to fail. If I fail, that's great. I failed in the 15 minutes. But now what I want to do is I want to correct it. So the next 15 minutes, I got to own. I got to do something right. And here's where the problem is. We lose focus. So your ability to focus is going to be crucial. And it does come down to self-discipline. How long can you focus on self-discipline? And that's what we're going to talk about here, the difference between winners and quitters. I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Let me see if you can finish this sentence for me. The road to hell is paved with, very good intentions. And wherever you go, there you are. It's funny, when I went through, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode, I think it's 551, and we're talking a lot about mindset in this podcast. We're talking about things off the blueprint to help you get out of adversity and get you to the next place in your life, which is success. Listen, you're worthy, you're worthwhile. The time's now. There's no more messing around. This ain't a game. It's time for you to start living in success. Read the books, write out your plan. Let's execute. Let's get to the next level. Whether you own a business, whether you're doing things with your family and you have kids you want to parent, whatever you want to do better in your life, take the blueprint and let's make the best version of yourself. I used to live in Virginia, and I remember I was dealing with issues. Let's just call it issues. I was dealing with addiction. I was dealing with a bad marriage. I was dealing with, I wanted to get so far away from Virginia, which I loved that state, by the way. I loved living in Virginia. I absolutely loved it. Don't get me wrong. However, I wanted to move as far away from there because of the marriage, because of the problems that I was having. So I decided to move all the way to Hawaii. So I literally drove my car across the bottom part of the United States of America, about a month. I made money back then. I was in my early 20s. I was a pretty good salesperson. I saved a lot, and I took a month off, and I drove down there, one-way ticket, didn't know where I was going, didn't have a home. I just shipped my car. Everything went there, and I'll figure it out because that's the kind of person that I was. I would write a goal. 90 days later, I'll be living in Hawaii. I will figure it out as I go. And I did. And I was in my early 20s then. Not the smartest thing to do, but I did it. And I kept thinking I can do whatever I want. I can make my reality happen. I really do believe in myself. I read a lot of personal growth and personal help books. I read Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within and Unlimited Power. I took a lot of notes, and I ended up getting the Personal Power series, and I got those DVDs, and I took a lot of notes. However, I drank way too much, and I was doing drugs at the time. Not a good thing, but I wanted to stop the drugs. Didn't want to stop drinking, though. So let me tell you this, folks. The reason why I'm sharing this with you, that was a long time ago. That was in the 90s. Now, the reason why I say that is because I've been on the straight and narrow and been very sober and very clean for 18 years now, and I'm very proud of that. And I couldn't have done it without the support of my family, prayers, AA, rehab, and everything else, and it was a long, hard road to get there. But I'll tell you what, I am so grateful that where I'm at today, and I can help you if you have a problem with that or direct you in the right way, because being sober is amazing. But when I was in that predicament at the time, I want to share something with you. I did not have any self-discipline, and I wasn't willing to grow on the inside. On the outside, I wanted everyone to know that I was doing great. I had money, kind of, and I was showing off. Yeah, I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm a big shot. Aloha, right? Well, when I showed up there, guess what? I was still the same person. I was still very broken. I was emotionally bankrupt. What do you think happened later in my life? It just got worse and worse and worse. See, I could go into the Marines and I can go through boot camp. That doesn't mean I have self-discipline. That means I have discipline. If somebody tells me to do something, I can take orders. Self-discipline is a very much a different thing. I can go into rehab and I can stop drinking. That doesn't mean that I'm sober. That means just I'm refraining from drinking because I'm in an environment that doesn't allow me to drink or take drugs. If you want to have a good life, it can't be loose and it can't be too stressful. There has to be like the right amount of tension, like a guitar string for harmony. You know what I mean? And how do you do that? I believe you have to put these no comfort zones in place. I really do believe that the difference between winners and quitters is discipline. So when I realized that I was at an average point in my life or just below, like miserable, or just at that point in my life where I was like, man, I'm not fulfilled at all. I go to work, do the routine, do the same thing. It just got to this point where it's like terrible. Like, am I really living life? Am I happy? Where are my ambitions? My ambitions? It got to that point where I know I'm a high achiever. I know where I've been in my life. But man, for Christ's sake, I went to Hawaii just because I wanted to from across the country. I was avoiding pain. That's what drove me. It wasn't going to pleasure. It was avoiding pain. Very interesting. I learned that from that Tony Robbins book so long ago. But I didn't learn self-discipline. So what did I need to do? What do you, the listener, need to do? Maybe you need to write down what your goals are. Maybe you need to write down what's preventing you from true happiness. Maybe you just need to start exploring that and reevaluate what's going on. Maybe you need to ask for help from the people that are influencing you. Maybe you need to be a friend to somebody else. Or maybe you need to put in some challenges in your life. For example, simple ones. This was a big one for me. A very hard one, believe it or not. Getting up at 5 a.m. That was hard for me. I get up at 5 every morning now. It used to be almost impossible. Getting up at 4:55 is not a challenge anymore, but it was the first part of the no comfort zone. Exercising at 5 a.m. was a challenge. Wanting to write my goals down, knowing how far away I was from anything that seemed like a realistic goal, I was so overwhelmed with life and the consumption of life. When you're $500,000 in debt, the IRS is after you, you owe child support, you just got done from being homeless, and you're still trying to figure stuff out. Like, how do you write down your goals for ambitions that you want to accomplish all these things? It's very difficult to do. But you have to, when you're 45 pounds overweight, what do you do? What do? You write down the goal that you want. And then you really take a long, hard look in the mirror and you realize that, you know what? You could do it. You didn't get to that spot where you're at overnight. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't become an alcoholic overnight. It took a lot of time to get there. I didn't get my financial ruin because I made one bad financial decision. I didn't ruin my marriage because of one bad decision. It was multiple bad decisions by two different people. It was a lot of lack of self-discipline and lack of growth. So you're going to have to put measurable, actionable items in place, like getting up early, like staying hydrated, like balancing your checkbook, like writing out your business goals, like showing up to work and having intention on what you're going to do and how you're going to communicate. These are all really important things that we just go to work, we show up and we do what we're supposed to do. And next thing you know, it's like, what just happened? You know, one of the biggest things I used to do at my previous employer is I used to go meet with the main boss. And the reason I did it was because I didn't want him to come and meet with me on his terms. I wanted to go meet with him on my terms because I was going to be busy. And I think it's one of the best things I could have done. It was self-discipline in my day to make sure that I stopped what I was doing, brought my notes, and went to my head boss and just told him, here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing. Here's our objective for the day. Here's how I'm going to get there. If you have any questions, I'll come back and see you. I didn't want him coming to see me because, quite frankly, it was a sales environment. He's not going to buy anything from him. I'll go report back to him if I have any problems. And the relationship got a lot better after that because he used to wander around and interrupt me. I know that sounds a little arrogant, but in the high aggressive sales environment, you don't want somebody that's going to take your time away when you're in the middle of trying to do something. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because self-discipline, if you don't have the self-discipline to put boundaries in place and have people take your time away, it's going to hurt you. So I want to kind of give you a rough idea of some things that might help when it comes to certain things that'll work for you and certain things that might work against you. And I hope this works out pretty good for the podcast. Here's some things that might help you stay focused. The one thing method. Every morning when you get up, ask yourself, what's the one thing that I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And then just focus your energy on that one task before doing anything else. See if you can get that one thing done. Here's another one. Time blocking. Now, I do this for 2 hours. Let's say, for example, if you're in sales, from 9 to 11, outbound sales, proactive set appointments. When it comes to this podcast, 2 hours on a Sunday, that time is specific. Phone goes off, everything's done. I want to communicate to the listeners, record the podcast, publish it, get it out there. My self-discipline's a lot better this week. As you can see, there's more consistency, but this is a huge thing. Time blocking for deep work. Set specific hours for focused work. 90 minutes to 2 hours, turn off notifications, put your phone on airplane mode, get a distraction-free environment. Mel Robbins, I could not stand her when her book came out because her book was so much like The No Comfort Zone. It's a wonderful book. It's a great book. I've listened to it multiple times. It's a wonderful book. She's a great author and a lot of respect for her. Mel, I respect you a ton. I would love to have you on the show sometime and would love to be on your show also. I'm just putting it out there. If anybody knows Mel Robbins, your book is wonderful. It really is. And it's called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. When you feel resistance, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and take immediate action before your brain talks you out of it. What a simple concept. That's like the alarm clock. I came up with the alarm clock method on my own. I'm watching a YouTube video as I'm working out at 5 a.m. and there's Mel Robbins talking about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm like, that's my idea. That's the No Comfort Zone. But you know what? Great minds think alike. That's a great book. And I think she's got another book that just came out. Visual cues for focus. This is example number 4. Use physical triggers like a clean workspace, a goal board, a motivational reminder to keep your mind on what matters. I have dry erase boards, as I said before, all throughout my office of what really matters. Example number 5, energy management over time management. Focus on managing your energy, nutrition, exercise, and sleep so you can perform at your highest level without burnout. I have a creative time or opportunity that works best for me. In the morning is when I'm most creative. So I can only do this podcast on Sundays because my other energies have to go towards my day job. So I have to do this on Sunday. That's the best time for me. Otherwise, it won't get done. And if something comes up with my son's golf, because that's a priority for me, then I have to put my time there. I go to church with my wife on Sunday mornings, so we have to adjust our schedule to make sure we go early enough so that I can do this, because this podcast is getting a lot of traction. I have more people that are wanting to be on the show. And I told you I'm going to have that guy that was in that cult. He wants to come on. I have another guy who is a war veteran, a Iraqi war vet, who wants to be on. And I just want to do right by them and making sure that I have the right platform. And I'm getting out of my comfort zone because I'm going to be going to video soon. And I want to have these people on and I want to honor them and make sure that I promote them the right way. And as this podcast grows, I want to learn more about these people because it's my passion. And I want their stories to impact others. And I also want to help people get their books published, get their ebooks out there so they can develop platforms to speak at their local chambers, to get their message out there so that they can actually develop the brand for themselves so they can help their adversity story turn into success for somebody else. And I think it's starting to work now here. How to eliminate distractions. The no phone rule during deep work. Put your phone in another room or use the app like Forest to lock it while working. That's huge for me. Identify and remove invisible time wasters. Social media, my wife and I going through Lent, we want to give up social media. That's going to be a tough one. I get a lot of content through that, but we're going to have to do that. There's also the pre-commitment strategy. Tell someone what you want to accomplish and set consequences for failures, like giving $50 to a friend if you don't complete your goal. My son and I have a commitment right now. 6 books by the end of March, I have to publish. They're almost done. He has to be a power golfer by the end of summer. Or there's a $50 bet that we have. It's a huge thing. Dopamine detox for clarity. A 24-hour break from social media, junk food, entertainment to reset the brain for focus. That's not going to be too hard because I'm really looking forward to that. And then the other one is optimize your environment for success. If it's in sight, it's in mind. Get rid of the distractions. Get rid of the clutter. There's a lot of opportunities for you to really, when it comes down to it, dig into self-discipline. There's so many different opportunities for you to do this on a different level where you have, I guess, for lack of a better term, no excuse. When it comes to it, what you really need to do, I want to get back to my point here. When it comes down to it, the self-discipline and growth do go hand in hand. If your excuse on why you can't do something is something you're going to die on the hill with, then that's it. But if you want it bad enough, then find the self-discipline that you need. My case and my point here on Sunday, after the producers called and said, we want to take your show on. Well, I think I'm going to do my show on my own. I don't have the time or the resources that I want to spend monetarily to do this. I just want to connect with you. Consistency is the key. So that's my self-discipline. I'm going to take my own advice and see what happens. I do want to publish the books, and that's happening. I want to connect with people on a different level. By me being the example and you listening, my hope is that you're going to find some opportunity for you to find the success that you're looking for in your life, to help the people around you, because you have a spouse right now that's watching what you're doing today, and they're looking at you and they're counting on you to be better than you are. You're not letting them down, you're just being. But wouldn't it be kind of cool if you grabbed a tablet, you wrote down your goals, put down your intentions, and you showed up in your life and you made life better for your family and you were more focused and intentional with your kids? How would you feel about yourself? You would feel amazing. That's one step in the success cycle. Now you have knowledge in that area. Now you have a better attitude. Now you have more energy in that area. See how this is a living thing? The blueprint starts to work for you. Now you have a new connection with somebody because you are a better father, husband, better employee, better employer. Now you have better opportunities around you. Now you have these opportunities presenting you better cases in your life so that you can start to live that extraordinary life. And that extraordinary life is right around the corner. When you decide what it is that you want and you realize where you're actually at, that's going from point A to point B. And going from point A to point B comes down to self-discipline. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up in order to get there? If you could, take that concept of the ideal day and put a bunch of those together, how great would you and your family's life be if you put some ethics in place when it comes to self-discipline? If you really truly lived outside of your comfort zone, if you truly lived proactively with intention and said, I'm not going to just react to what's going on around me. I'm actually going to get up early, going to exercise, going to work really hard, going to save my money, going to put money into my church. I'm going to spend time intentionally with my kids. I'm going to be good to my dogs. That's like my dogs are getting older right now, and they're getting older. I just wish I would have spent more time with them. Sounds funny, but that's important to me right now. A little off on a tangent there, but that's just what I'm thinking about right now. There comes a time and place in your life when you look back and you're like, wow, I've been on this planet so long. What have I done? My contribution to you is this podcast. My contribution to my life is this podcast. For you to hopefully understand and realize that you've got a finite amount of time left. Isn't it time that you make it a little uncomfortable for right now so that you can truly enjoy it with the people that care about you the most? And I'm going to tell you, if you don't have people in your life right now, you will. You just have to be a better version of yourself. Go be that to somebody else, which you wish to be. Let that happen for somebody and see what happens. There's so much good that you can bring, but you got to be good to yourself. Find ways to write down what's to be grateful for right now, and that could be just enough. And if you can't find something to be grateful for, Google it. What should I be grateful for right now? Look it up in one of those AI apps. What could I be grateful for right now? Try to find a way. Because I'm telling you, when you could figure out the key of what's really important to you and you ask that question, what's important to me, and you start to know and you start to get understanding, it's kind of magical how extraordinary your life can be because you have the self-discipline to sit down and realize who you are as a person and figure out why you're here. Because when you figure out why you're here and you start to apply some disciplines, some self-discipline, and you start to serve other people, it does become extraordinary. And these opportunities that weren't there before will start to show up. And you start to serve the people around you. And it becomes good because that's what's happened to me. That's what's happened for me. And I can tell you that. My life is so blessed now because I got out of my comfort zone, because I started to live my life at a level 10. And I always thought I was, but I never was. And that can happen for you too. So I'm going to end this series, this podcast right now with what I always say. You're worthy. You're worthwhile. Check out the blueprint, dan@thenocomfortzone.com. I wish the best for you. And like I always say, it's time for you to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.